A bid for the presidency in 2022 is not yet off the table for Vice President Leni Robredo in the face of fresh claims that she's running for governor of Camarines Sur. Instead, Mrs. Robredo said she remains open to running for president next year.
In a statement, the vice president said she has been carefully weighing several factors, but assured that the decision will be made in the right time. Good evening, I'm Gretchen Hall.
And I'm Robbie Alampay. You're watching The Big Story. Let's start with Vice President Leni Robredo saying she's not closing her doors for a possible presidential bid in 2022.
But one of her possible contenders, presidential daughter Sara Duterte, is one step ahead. The younger Duterte may have just found a potential running mate in a former presidential candidate. Mayan Los Baños with The Big Story.
With less than a year to go before the 2022 polls, more names are being floated for the top two posts in the country. First off, presidential daughter and Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte. Albay Congressman Joey Salceda made the revelation on 1PH's Sa Totoo Lang. Talks of a possible tandem with former Defense Secretary Gov't started after a photo of the two circulated online. On Thursday night, former Congressman Rolando Andaya revealed in his interview with One News The Chiefs that Gov't is planning to run as vice president in 2022 with Mayor Sara as his running mate.
It's the vibe. It's the camaraderie. Mind you, it's the first time na nagsama kaming tatlo sa isang kwarto. And for her to stay that long speaks a lot. She fed us 3 times. She ate those 3 meals with us.
On 1PH's Wag Po, Andaya said that among the things that sealed the deal was the anti-COVID vaccine that offered to Gov't when he landed in Davao City.
Yung libreng bakuna, ang sinasabi lang noon, partner, dapat malakas ka dahil marami pa tayong dadaanan, mangangampanya pa tayo. Ito, babakunahan kita para healthy ka at safe ka. Yan ang malang ibig sabihin nun eh. Special po yung treatment na binigay po kay Gov't. Yan sa pagbisita. At wala siyang schedule buong araw. Doon buong hapon, riniserba lang po para sa meeting namin.
Andaya added Sara and Gov't want to run as independent candidates.
They want to go at it alone, mean to say walang partido or bound by a party.
But for political analyst Professor Ranjit Rai of the University of the Philippines, it's too early in the game to talk about done deals, especially with Govt's waning popularity after losing the 2010 presidential race.
There are other people who are more popular than he is at the moment and who may have already a consolidated vote that can contribute to a successful ticket in 2022.
But a Sara Gov't tandem isn't the only thing Andaya divulged. He told the chiefs that fellow Camarines Sur native Vice President Leni Robredo isn't keen on running as president.
I talked to her personally and she has intimated to me that we are on schedule, we are on track. And that the benchmarks we have set prove that she is running for governor, she has fulfilled.
But the VP is refuting that. In a statement, Robredo said she has yet to make a decision and that she's still open to run for president next year. Robredo says she's also confident that she will make the right decision at the right time. Reporting for News 5, Mayan Los Baños, we are One News.
So what really is the Vice President's plan come 2022? Will she be making a run for the country's top post? To find out, we have with us the Office of the Vice President spokesperson, Barry Gutierrez. Good evening, Attorney Gutierrez.
Good evening, Robbie. Good evening, Gretchen.
So, Attorney, I have two-part question. First, is Congressman Andaya said he spoke with Vice President Leni Robredo, and he said she is decided to run for governor of Camarines Sur. So, first part, will you confirm that Vice President Robredo spoke with Congressman Andaya about her political plans? And can you confirm, how do you react to what he said, that she is running for governor instead?
As far as I know, the last time they talked was months ago. Obviously, they talked because they're from the same province. But I think that insofar as political plans are concerned, the Vice President has made her own statement. It's clear that she is not running for governor. There is no finality to that decision, and that she remains very much open to running for the presidency.
Yes, but let me take a more pointed take on your answer. You said she is open to running for president. Is she
Yes.
open to running for governor of Camarines Sur?
She has been very consistent, Robbie. This is not the first time we have had to answer this question. This is familiar ground. Last month, we had Senator Trillanes saying basically the same thing. And as she said then, and as we clarified then, she is still weighing her options for 2022. That includes a possible run for a local position. That includes a possible run for the presidency. And she has not made a decision.
And the Vice President also said she will make a definitive announcement at the right time. When is the right time, Atty. Gutierrez?
Well, it should be anytime within the next few months. Before, she has said that she was looking at possibly September. So it might be as late as September. It might be sooner than September. The only person who can definitively answer that is the Vice President herself. And she has not, she's not playing coy here. She has been consistent all throughout. She thinks that right now her focus should be on addressing the COVID crisis. And that is what she's doing with her days. But rest assured, she will make a decision. She realizes how important this is. And when she does make the decision, it will be she herself who will let everybody know what that decision is.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Atty. Gutierrez. And we will have Atty. Gutierrez to continue with more of our questions and more of your questions later, immediately after the big story on the Chiefs. Election season drama is making a head start with candidacy claims popping out here and there, but how is voter registration turning out? Tonight's big number shows it's still a bit behind the 2019 tally at 59 million. Comelec says there were at least 61 million Filipinos who registered to vote during the midterm elections. The poll body is targeting to reach at least 60 million voters by the time registration ends in September.
These are the other big stories tonight. Travelers fully inoculated in the Philippines only have to endure a 7-day quarantine. But how about those vaccinated overseas? Well, the 10-day quarantine still stands. Even as more Filipinos seek to get inoculated, some 113,000 first jab recipients failed to show up for their second dose. While there's room for some delays, health experts say it's still best to get fully vaccinated ASAP. And no more title defense. LeBron James and the defending champions Los Angeles Lakers bow out of title contention. This is the first in 14 seasons that James lost a first-round series. These big stories after the break.
Good evening, I'm Robbie Alampay. You're still watching The Big Story. Health experts are posting varying statistics on Filipinos who supposedly missed their second vaccine appointment, but the vaccine expert panel says it should be okay as long as the delay does not exceed 6 months. Greg Gregorio with the story.
A recent SWS survey shows a 30% split among Filipinos who are willing to get vaccinated, those against it, and those who are still undecided. But the likes of Camille and Mirna could not wait to get their shots. Both have gotten their first dose and are scheduled for their second one on July 2.
Kasi as of now, okay naman ako. Wala naman problema sa pangangatawan ko.
I will do my best to get my second vaccine naman para 100% protected.
But not everyone gets to come back for their second jab. Health Department data shows 113,000 vaccinees, or 9% of those who got their first jab, have missed their second dose schedule. This is better though than earlier estimates. IATF analyst and epidemiologist Dr. John Wong said before that 50% or about 1 million missed their schedule.
No, meron po siyang mga statistical imputations na ginawa, kaya nakuha niya yan. Pero kailangan tignan din natin doon sa isang banda yung on the ground na experience.
The DOH said that most of those who missed their second jab were infected during the recent surge in NCR. They had to recover first before getting fully vaccinated. Another reason is the change in interval between AstraZeneca shots. Vaccine expert panel chief Dr. Nina Gloriani says delayed schedule on the second dose is nothing to worry about. In the case of AstraZeneca shots, she says a longer waiting interval is even believed to contribute to higher efficacy.
Yung napag-aralan nila, meron tayong mga memory B cells and T cells that should be activated once binigay ulit yung vaccine.
Still, Gloriani is urging the public to get their second dose as early as they can.
People get complacent, tapos mamaya makakalimutan na. What we want people to understand is they need to get the second shot because that will give you full protection.
The DOH says those who missed their schedule for a second dose should coordinate with their LGUs, while VEP said they must ensure the delay does not last longer than 6 months. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, PR1 News.
Quarantine length for fully vaccinated inbound travelers have been shortened. Instead of 10 days, those who received 2 doses will now need to undergo only quarantine for 7 days upon arrival. Those who did not develop symptoms will be given clearance and can self-monitor at home. Those who show symptoms will have to undergo RT-PCR tests, but this only applies to passengers who were vaccinated in the Philippines. That means OFWs and foreign travelers who receive their COVID-19 shots abroad will still have to undergo the required 10-day quarantine.
Ang isang individual ay masasabing fully vaccinated for COVID-19 2 o mahigit na 2 linggo pagkatapos niyang makuha ang second dose o 2 o mahigit 2 linggo pagkatapos niyang makatanggap ng single-dose vaccine.
Time for an extra look at some of today's big stories. The Interagency Task Force tightened the quarantine classification of Davao City and General Santos. From the second least restrictive GCQ, Davao City will be under MECQ from June 5 to 20. Quarantine in General Santos City is raised to GCQ from June 5 to 30. And as of June 2, active cases in Mindanao surpassed NCR's. Rainy season officially begins today, June 4. Pag-asa said intermittent rains associated with habagat will continue to affect Metro Manila and the western section of the country. In the next 2 months, there's also a high probability of near to above normal rainfall conditions. Dante, which re-entered the Philippine area of responsibility, has weakened into a tropical depression. And the country's inflation rate stayed at 4.5% in May. That's the same clip for the 3rd straight month. But year on year, the reading is more than double the 2.1% recorded last year. It is also higher than government target of 2 to 4%. Food and non-alcoholic beverages remain as the main driver of inflation. Now for the big story in sports. With skateboarding set to make its official debut in the Tokyo Olympics, Pinay skateboarder Marjeline Didal is on the cusp of securing her Olympic seat. Let's get to know more about her in my report. From the streets of Cebu to Tokyo, Marjeline Didal might just be the first Filipino skateboarder to enter the Olympics. After placing 17th, she now advanced to the semifinals of the World Street Skateboarding Championships in Rome, Italy. Landing in the top 3 will guarantee her an Olympic spot. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, Marjeline and her team make the most out of the remaining competitions to train and ride alongside the world's best skaters.
Kailangan talaga maka-experience ng iba't ibang skate park or iba't ibang lugar kasi just to to see kung gaano ako komportable ako or like gumawa ng tricks sa iba't ibang lugar.
With skateboarding's newfound popularity as a sport, Marjolin is already paving the way for other skateboarders. In her young career, she has already bagged an Asian Games gold medal in 2018 and 2 golds in the 2019 Southeast Asian Games. With this, Marjolin has been featured on the Olympic Channel to share her skateboarding journey.
Parang di mo in-expect na ma-feature in skateboarding sa Olympic and gonna be in the Olympic. I'm really honored na to share my story sa Olympic Channel. It's like a lifestyle, like just skateboarding. And now, like, it's so big. Even in Philippines, sobrang laki na ng skate scene.
Currently ranked 13th in the world, Didal's game plan is to stay with the pack and remain in the top 20 world rankings. Anong game plan natin?
Game plan? Just enjoy skating and stay positive.
But it's not just the Olympic dream for Marjolin. She hopes to create better and safer spaces for all skateboarders in the country.
My dream for skateboarding culture, probably public skate park for all the skaters. Also probably do a skate clinic so you can share like how to ride a skateboard. Not for just like young generation, also for like yung mga hindi nakapag-try.
Thank you, MVP. We couldn't be here without your support. Thank you so much.
Gretchen Hall, We Are One News. Time for another quick break. When we return, the pandemic is starting to weigh heavily on the environment. Hazardous waste in the country had a dramatic 400% increase last year. And King James' streak has been broken as the LA Lakers have been knocked out of title contention in the NBA. The details after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay. Health experts are weighing in on calls to drop mandatory use of face shields in public. Can science back up its efficacy in preventing transmission? Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us a front seat to this story.
It's been a long-standing debate. Are face shields effective in lessening COVID-19 transmission? While there are calls to ditch it, the health department said that when coupled with face masks on top of social distancing, it may give up to 99% protection. Lulu Bravo of the Philippine General Hospital concurred.
The face shield is used to protect the eyes from getting the virus because the eyes will also, get your virus inside your body.
But for Benjamin Ko of UST Hospital, the health department's math is quite off.
97% pa yung protection, just face mask and distancing alone. 2% lang ang na-add ni face shield.
The health department based its face shield policy on an Indian study, which showed that medical frontliners wearing one were fully protected against COVID-19. But bear in mind that this study was not full-scale and was not widely acknowledged by medical experts around the world. In any case, Dr. Ko said that medical frontliners may opt to using face shields for additional protection.
It has been acknowledged by several studies that there is not enough data to support it for general use.
On Facebook, Government Technical Advisor Edsel Salvana said scientific evidence still stands. He cited an unnamed study claiming eye protection decreases COVID risk by 78%. If combined with other health protocols, he said protection climbs to 90%. He believes more people should be vaccinated before drawing down established measures. For his part, Octa research fellow Guido David called for the immediate vaccination of at least half of Filipinos. Only about 5% of the population has received vaccines.
So if we have that in NCR, we could probably have, lessened use of face masks, especially face shields.
Dr. Bravo reminded everybody that we should make our decision based on science. But in the meantime, the public should follow minimum public health standards established by the IATF, and that includes wearing face shields when going out. I'm Jacob Lazaro, and we are One News.
The volume of hazardous waste in the country expanded by a whopping 400% in 2020. According to the Environment Department's data, some 350,000 metric tons of hazardous waste were recorded last year from just 88,000 metric tons in 2019. And that only covers the last 6 months of 2020. The agency says a big factor was the use of disposable face masks and face shields. Environment groups are urging the public, especially those who are not medical frontliners, to use reusable face masks or shields instead.
Let's take a look at the biggest stories on print and online. McDonald's Philippines is disowning a supposed online ad taking a jab at Jollibee's fried towel mess. The photo making rounds online shows McDo's signature chicken along with a statement saying, quote, "Our competitor threw in the towel." McDonald's Philippines says it would not produce disparaging material against any brand. Business World reports that ABS-CBN has reached a standstill agreement with its existing lenders. The media giant told the stock exchange that lenders agreed not to declare any default after they mortgaged properties and equipment to secure 15 billion pesos. The company has cut costs to sustain operations following the non-renewal of its franchise. And the 2 suspected members of a robbery and kidnapping group were killed in a shootout with police along South Luzon Expressway on Thursday. News 5 reports that the 2 suspects, identified as George Laparan and Raquel Cayetano, engaged in a car chase with authorities in Silangan exit prior to the shootout. Police found 2 firearms and cash amounting to more than 1 million pesos. The slain suspects are allegedly involved in the kidnapping of Chinese nationals in Metro Manila.
In world news, NASA is planning to launch 2 new missions to Venus between 2028 and 2030 to study the planet's atmosphere and geologic history. Should it push through, this will be NASA's first mission in decades to Earth's closest planetary neighbor. $500 million have been earmarked for the development of each of the 2 missions. Mission 1, dubbed Da Vinci Plus, seeks to measure the composition of Venus' atmosphere. Veritas, meanwhile, will map the planet's surface.
Another big story in sports. The Phoenix Suns have knocked off defending champions Los Angeles Lakers following their 113-100 victory in Game 6. The Lakers found themselves facing an insurmountable lead after Anthony Davis was forced to leave the floor in the opening 6 minutes. The Suns took advantage of the situation as Devin Booker torched LA with 47 big points. This marks the first time that a team led by LeBron James had been eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. The Suns will move on to face the Denver Nuggets.
An Italian artist just sold a sculpture that the naked eye cannot perceive, and we don't mean invisible. Take a mighty look at Salvatore Garao's Io Sono, or I Am, which sold at more than $18,000 or 860,000 pesos. This 5x5 magnum opus is a vacuum of space full of energy. Garao argues its nothingness is what gives it form. The lucky buyer was instructed to display the intangible sculpture in a private space free of obstructions. Iosono also comes with a certificate of authenticity, visible and tangible, apparently.
Are you gonna buy that?
Sa kanya na, kahit i-post mo sa social media, pati mga kaibigan mo, walang makikita eh.
Okay yun, no? Magandang idea yun.
But
Pwedeng
I
racket.
still don't get how it works. I don't...
Yun ba yung NFT?
Hindi, it's not. It's supposed to be a physical, invisible sculpture. I don't get it. It's not even NFT.
Inaaral ko kasi NFT ngayon eh. Kasi lahat ng mga gamit ko, tinitignan ko na kung anong value. Well, that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again Monday at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay safe, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. We are One News. Have a good evening.